With all that's going on right now in the world concerning the plandemic and the COVID vaccinations and the New World Order takeover, which appears to be trying to happen worldwide. And you could see it more so in Australia, which I will be presenting a video on. Now, this is a major event. Worldwide, people have been brainwashed to take the COVID vaccination. And so this has to be in the scripture. And it actually is. Today, I'm going to present to you in the scriptures the events that are unfolding before our eyes, which is really dramatic, and it was already prophesied. And I'm going to tell you about a prophecy that's going to happen that has not happened yet. So this is all coming today, and I'm going to tell you where the scripture is at. The scripture is in Zephaniah chapter 3, and many of the verses were mistranslated. Some were translated properly, and so I'm going to translate the scripture for you. Before I read my translation of Zephaniah 3, I want to remind everybody about the mark of Yah. I want to say right now is that if you're worried about the mark of the beast and you're not worried about the mark of Yah, you're not going to be saved. So if you think your salvation is not getting the mark, you're wrong, because you have to get the mark of Yah. Okay, worrying about the mark of the beast is not going to save you. If you don't get the COVID vaccination, it doesn't mean you're safe, okay? You need the mark of Yah. And we could read that in Ezekiel chapter 9 as an example. 9 verse 3. And the glory of Yahweh Elohim was gone up from the cherubim, whereupon he was, and to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen. This man was an angel, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And Yahweh said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, and through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the forehead of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So we are supposed to have the mark of Yah, okay? And the mark of Yah is what's going to save us when what's coming, which I'm going to review right now. So please watch this video. Whether you're New Testament or Old Testament, it really doesn't matter, because I'm going to reveal to you the New World Order plandemic right now in Zephaniah chapter 3. And it was mistranslated, and I'm looking at the symbols, the Manakati language, which is from hand signs, and I'm breaking down the symbols. I'm confirming when they have it right, and I'm also refuting it when they're wrong, and I will prove it to you when they are wrong. Sometimes I can go into the strong concordance, and sometimes I have to go right into the symbols. So my translation, I'm going to read my translation of Zephaniah 3 from verse 1 all the way to verse 8. I'm going to read it, then I will explain my breakdown, why I'm using different words according to the Manakati language, and I will break it down. So first, let's read my translation. Zephaniah chapter 3. Woe, vision and pollution, the tyrannical city. She did not hear on the voice. She did not take on Yahweh's instruction. She did not trust in her Elohim, nor draws near. Her leaders in the midst of her are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. No ravage for morning. Her forecasts are treacherous newscasters. Her daughters pierced the sacred. They violated the law. Yahweh is righteous in the midst of her. He will do no unrighteousness. Morning to morning his judgment he reveals to light, never lacks, but evil shows no shame. I have cut off the nations. Their corners are in ruin. Their streets are waste without any passing by. Their cities are destroyed without any person, no inhabitants. I said, surely you will fear me. You will take my correction, and her dwelling would not be cut off. All that I charged her, but they arose early and corrupted all their shameful deeds. Therefore, wait for me, declares Yahweh. Wait for the day I rise for prey, for my judgment is to gather the nations, to assemble the kingdoms, to pour on them my indignation, all my fierce anger. For the fire of my jealousy, she shall devour all the earth. And so I'm going to go through it right away, right now, and explain verse for verse why I chose the translation that I chose. First, King James translation, verse 1. Woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. I said, woe, vision and pollution, the tyrannical city. So the first word is the woe, and we both agree on that. The second one is, I said, woe, vision and pollution. And the King James says, woe to her that is filthy and polluted. When you go to Zephaniah, you can go to bible.cc, and I'll put it up here on the screen. When you go to bible.cc, you click on the word mara'ah. Mara'ah is the word that was translated for filthy. But when you go to bible.cc and you click on Hebrew, after you put in Zephaniah 3 and you click on Hebrew, and you'll get to it, and it's Strong's 4754, they say it's to her who is rebellious. So first they said it was filthy, now it's to her that is rebellious. But then when you click on it, go ahead, click on 4754. It's leading to you to a definition called perhaps, flap, or wings. So they don't know the definition. You have three definitions that is given. King James says it's filthy, but when you go to the Strong's, it says rebellious, and then it says flaps, and they're clearly confused. But this word is actually the word for vision. Mara'ah is the word for vision. And we're going to explore it first a little bit longer on Strong's 4754, because if you scroll down, you'll see that they say that the meaning is dubious. Dubious means that they just don't know the translation. They're guessing, okay? And it does not mean this. Just because the verse is pointed to a certain Strong's number doesn't mean it's correct. But let's go to Strong's 4758 instead, because this is where you're going to get the meaning of the word, and you're going to see the letters are still the same there. And you'll see that this word, it actually means vision, appearance, sight. So what's going to happen is the sight of what you're going to see, you're going to be in a maze. You're going to be like, oh my goodness. You're going to be in disbelief. So the word vision is my translation, but it communicates this vision, like you're in disbelief. It communicates looking at something in disbelief, because what you're going to see is pollution and a tyrannical city. So let's go to the next word. The next word in Zephaniah chapter 3 is the word polluted. And this is the word polluted. It is the official word. Ga'al means polluted. But when I look at the symbols, it looks like a pollution from a liquid substance, okay? So the symbols, Ga'al, is showing me an unclean liquid substance. And this is where the meaning of pollution comes. It comes from a liquid substance, okay, according to the symbols. You can read my book, Primitive Sign Language, to check out the Gamal symbol to see how it is communicating this and the other symbols together to communicate this pollution. But it's communicating, the symbols is communicating some kind of unclean liquid substance. And the next word is city, and I agree with King James. It does say the city. And then the last word, I chose tyrannical city, because the word that the King James chose was oppressing city. An oppressing city is a city that is a dictatorship type of city where they're abusing the inhabitants, okay? And they're taking advantage of them, and they're being really, really aggressive. So it is an oppressing city. So I'm not disagreeing with King James. However, a tyrannical city would be a better definition. It still means oppression, but it's tyrannical. So this is what Zephaniah 3 is going to show you. The New World Order is prophesied in the scriptures, and it's in Zephaniah, okay? And I'm going to review it. This is the New World Order. Check out this news reporter.
1 in 5 Americans is about to be living under a new world order as New York joins California and a growing list of US states preparing to effectively shut down.
Oh, a New World Order is all about shutting down. That's what the newscaster said. Probably said it by accident. Verse 2 will describe to you the ways in which this city is tyrannical. Okay. First, let's go in to see what King James says. King James. Verse 2 in the King James. She obeyed not the voice. I said she did not hear the voice. Well, the scripture does say Shammai, okay? And Shammai means hear. So when you don't hear somebody, you're also not obeying. So King James didn't get it wrong. However, it does say hear. When you say somebody doesn't hear you, it still is communicating, not obeying you. So I don't feel like, they needed to say obey. Not saying it's wrong, not a mistranslation. It's just, let's leave it the way it is. If the translation can still communicate the same meaning, you should not switch it for a different word. And that's how I feel. That way people can learn the scripture. So it does say here, she did not hear on the voice. And you could check it out in the Hebrew on Bible.cc. I said, she did not take on Yahweh's instruction. She did not trust in her Elohim. Okay. Now, it's not saying King James got it wrong. They kind of rephrased the words. I'm keeping the words close to the translation as possible, so it's not lost. So we're both agreeing, but however, I am putting it in the order of the words that was translated. And then the King James said, she did not draw near to her Elohim. And I said, nor draw near. So basically, the interpretation that I would give is that this tyrannical city, oppressing city, is lawless and doesn't care for Yahweh's laws and doesn't seek his counsel. So this is the interpretation. The tyrannical city is tyrannical because there's no Torah being followed. Okay, moving on. Zephaniah chapter 3. Moving on to verse 3, but you can check out a word-for-word breakdown on iThotty.com, and the link will be in the description of this video so you can see a more detailed breakdown. I'm not going to break down every word if there's an agreement in translation. I will only break down the word with you in this video if there's a disagreement, and I will explain why. Verse 3, King James says, her princes within her are roaring lions. I said, her leaders in midst of her are roaring lions. Okay. And so I chose the word leader instead of prince because Shar, although it does mean prince, it's not a mistranslation. Shar, it doesn't communicate what's going on right now because we don't call our leaders prince. So someone who's a Shar in Manakati is a prince, but it could be a leader. It's someone in a position of authority. And so I believe right now in our days, we should say leader so we can understand that it's not somebody who is, the son of a king. Okay, so it's just a leader. So her leaders in the midst of her are roaring lions. Me and King James, we both agreeing. Okay, her judges are evening wolves. And I said, her judges are evening wolves. No disagreement. King James says, they gnaw not the bones till the morning. I said, no ravage from morning. There's no word in there that says bones. That was just added in. King James felt privileged to add it in there, but there's no word for bone in there. So sometimes they add words that are not there. I'm trying to keep it as literal as possible. And so there's really no disagreement other than the word bones that was added and the word for prince, which is not a mistranslation. It's just leader is better. So King James and I are agreeing. But what is the interpretation of verse 3? Well, the interpretation of verse 3 is that the judges are wicked. So this tyrannical city is lawless, doesn't listen to Yah, and their judges and their leaders, they're wicked. Okay? And what is a wolf? Why was the judges compared to as a wolf? Well, the wolf, they are nocturnal creatures and they hunt for food at night and sleep during the day. So, but when they eat, they devour their prey and they eat so much, and so they don't leave anything till the morning. So that's what the judges are. They're compared to wolves. And that's, that's just to show how unrighteous they are. So the city's wicked. The leaders are wicked. They don't follow Yah. Zephaniah 4. Her prophets are light and treacherous persons. This is what King James said. And I said, her forecasters are treacherous newscasters. Okay, let's look at this. Why did I say forecasters instead of prophets? Well, the word is prophet. In the Manakati, the word is prophet. But the newscasters, they forecast the news. Okay? They do predictions with the weather. They do predictions with what's going on with COVID. the people who are newscasters, they're false prophets, okay? So they are prophets, but I just want to use a translation where it can bring it more to home. A better translation instead of prophets would be forecasters, because they say that they are forecasters. Another way of saying newscaster is a forecaster. Okay, they're forecasting usually bad news. You know that you turn on the news not to get good news. You turn on the news for bad news. So, the treacherous city, they have false prophets. Okay, and I've already reviewed the word prophet, so I'm going to get into the word treacherous. I want to take a moment and tell you about the sponsor of this video. It's me. Okay, so. Everybody should know by now that I sew for HebrewGarments.com, set apart to Yah apparel, and I just recently made this dress. This is a new wraparound dress, and I'm going to do a little turn, okay? It has ruffles on the side, and give a little closer view of the ruffles. And this is not available yet on the website, but I will post it tomorrow. And if you notice, the fringes are blue. These fringes are custom fringes. It's not the typical color that I usually offer, but if you like different colors than what I offer, you can contact me and ask me if I have a special dye. So right now, this month only, I have pink and blue, and it's a special dye. And once the fringes are gone, it's gone until I do another dye. So currently, I do gold, black, and natural. And then I add extra colors here and there, but I don't post it online. So visit HebrewGarments.com for set apart to Yah apparel. Back to Zephaniah chapter 3. So we are in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 4. We already reviewed the word for prophet. The next word is Strong's 6348. In Strong's 6348, they translated this word as light. But when you go into the Hebrew of Bible.cc, it says insolent. And then when you click on it, it says wanton or reckless. So that's 3 definitions for one word. So you can already get a sense that they don't know the meaning of the word. Now, the symbol says pakaz. Pakaz is this word right here. Pakaz, the symbol is telling me that it's mouth loud and anger. So those are the symbols. The letters are indicating to me from the mouth. It's a loud voice, and it's angry, and it's like, you know, it's like evil intent, anger. So this is what the word is telling me. It's telling me a loud mouth, evil intended words. Okay, so they translated this as wanton or reckless. Okay, but when I went to another verse that had the same word, it was in Judges 9 and 4. In Judges 9 and 4, it said this. So I'm going to be comparing another verse that has the word pakaz, so we can get an idea to confirm that the symbols are indeed stating that it's a loud mouth, angered person, or even words. So let's go to it and see what it says. It says, and they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal-berth, wherewith Abimelech hired vain light persons which followed him. So Abimelech was turned evil, and he hired certain people, which was translated as light persons, which followed him. Well, these people are newsmen, okay? Newsmen who deliver evil news. These are the type of people he hired, and they followed him. So they were going to deliver his message for him, and they were wicked men, okay? But a specific type of men. These are newscasters, okay? So think of it as someone delivering what they see to the people. Okay, and it's always going to be negative, and it's going to be evil. And so these are the type of men Abimelech hired. And as you read in Judges chapter 9, Abimelech wasn't righteous. So then leads me into Zephaniah chapter 3. Zephaniah chapter 3 is not speaking of a person who's being righteous. It's speaking of a person in the tyrannical city who is considered a prophet. Like I said, the newscasters, they forecast the news. Okay, they predict the future in their news forecast. That's why it's called forecast. It's prediction. Okay, so these predictions are not going to be good predictions. When you turn on the news, you're not going on there to see the good events that are happening. You're going on the news for negativity, okay, and for ill report. So they are the ill reporters. Okay, they deliver evil news. And so the next word is napashi. Okay, napashi is a word for soul, but it also can communicate a person, a man or a woman. Okay, so it is the official word for soul, but it also is the same word for man and woman. And then the yid symbol in the end, napashi, is communicating many persons. So these prophets, they're loud mouth and they deliver negative news. So they're newscasters, but they deliver negative news. So when I translated it, I translated as treacherous newscasters because of those two words. And then the next word is bagadut. Bagad means to cover, okay, like a covering. And bagad is also a clothing, is the word for clothes. When you bagad your prophecy, you're being deceptive. You're covering it up. You're hiding the truth. So check it out. Their prophets are newscasters, okay? Their prophets forecast the news and they're being deceptive. So if you don't believe me that the word prophet is actually the news people, speaking concerning the news people, you see that they're treacherous. So these are treacherous prophets. So they're false prophets, okay? This is what's happening in the treacherous city. Their prophets are forecasting negativity and they're being treacherous. They're lying. So it's not that they're forecasting good things. They're forecasting bad things.
I've been a journalist for about 25
years.
years. And I was
Journalist.
educated to lie, to betray, and not to tell the truth to the public. The German and American media tries to bring war to the people in Europe, to bring war to Russia.
You see that? They admit to telling lies. So they are the treacherous ones. And this quote from Malcolm X, he spoke against the media and how they control information. He said, the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. That's power because they control the mind of the masses. So the media, the newscasters, the so-called prophets of modern days, they control the minds. They're witches, if you ask me. They are doing witchcraft on the people. Hypnosis, like I said before, because you look at them and you think that, they're in a position of authority and that they're professionals and that they're basing what they're telling you on facts. But they're not based on facts. They're usually based on an agenda because the Illuminati, they own the news, the media. And it's only a small few big corporations who own large portions of the news, random news. Okay, let's go on to the next translation of the King James. The King James said, her priests have polluted the sanctuary. I disagree. I see this as her daughters pierced the sacred. We're going to have to go into the symbols and the letters and the words for you to get an understanding of this. Okay. So I'm on Bible.cc. And as you see, the next word is her priest. Okay. And the word does say priest. And I want you to know that it's official. That translation is not wrong. But for the modern day understanding, you need to know that the priests were ministers of health. When you had leprosy, you didn't go to a doctor. You went to a priest because the priests were doctors. They were considered ministers of health. Okay. When you fell sick, you want Yah to pray over you. You go to the priest for that. Okay. And the priest sometimes would get recommendations that were from Yah for you to take something. Like there was a king, I believe it was the story of a king who was told to eat figs and then he would feel better. Sometimes Yah would instruct the priest to tell them to go into a body of water, or prophets. The prophets also got instructions from Yah how to heal people, but the priests were ministers of health. So they stood in a high position and they were ministers of health. Okay, and so this word I translated as doctors because in modern days, the ministers of health are doctors, not priests. So in the past, they would have called them priests, and now we call them doctors. So the official word for now is doctors. And you would have to have studied scriptures to understand that the priests were ministers of health. I just gave you an example. I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'm not going to go into scriptures, but there are scriptures, and I can make another video at another time to prove that the priests were ministers of health and they were considered doctors, but you could research it. It's there. It's not hidden. Let's move on so we can make this video as short as possible. Okay, let's look at the next word. The next word is the word that the King James translated as polluted, and it's Strong's 2490. Kalal. Kalal is actually not the word for polluted, but this is what they translated as. Kalal, if you go to Strong's 2490, it says to bore and to pierce. And this, I agree 100%. This word is to bore. The symbol is communicated to bore and to pierce. And it looks like it's right through. Okay, according to the symbols, these are the symbols. According to the symbols, it's definitely pierced. And when you look into the scriptures, it looks like, well, sometimes they translate as began and beginning. But for the most part, it's profane. Profane or pierced. The word profane, it was translated from this word also. And but it's not necessarily off. It's not necessarily off. You just have to have understanding why they meant that. But for the most part, it's pierce and profane. That's the most part. For the most part, this word kalal has been translated as pierce and profane. But the symbols is communicating pierce. So these priests were piercing, and it said the sanctuary. The word sanctuary is actually the word kudash. Kudash could be in anything. To say a whore in Manakati is kudasha. To say a sodomite in Manakati is kudash. So a person can be kudash if it's not towards Yah. So kudash does not necessarily mean set apart to Yah. If it says set apart to Yah, then it's set apart to Yah. Okay, and it's something righteous. But kudash in itself, it just means set apart to wickedness or set apart to righteousness. The scriptures would have to indicate that. But in this scenario, in Zephaniah 3, the title started with the tyrannical city. And then it explained verse after verse how exactly, in detail, the city is tyrannical. So we know that this kudash is not a set apartness. This kudash, the priests had pierced the kudash. So it looks like they pierced the broken. Let me tell you why. I got to show you the hand sign of kudash. This is the hand sign of kudash. And I did translate that as, the sacred. Okay. The reason why I translate as the sacred, because I was referring to the body. Okay. Our body is supposed to be separated. And then when the doctors injected the COVID vaccinations, they went into the sacred. So when I saw the word kudash, I see the word as sacred. But as I'm talking to you, I'm seeing the word as broken, because the symbol literally is, this is how you say set apart. This is how you say set apart. You see how it's just, the symbols are telling me to do that. So the symbol for the word kudash, this is the hand sign, okay? But it looks like it's broken. So it actually makes more sense to go with the literal translation of the hand sign. So I'm probably going to change this. Her daughters have injected the broken. Wow, that actually makes more sense. When you read it according to the symbols, I'm just amazed. When you read it according to the symbols, it actually makes more sense. So the priest, kalal, the broken. The word kudash usually is set apart, and this is set apart. but it's also broken. Like, I'm just amazed. Like, I just kind of put this together. Although I did have the word broken in my mind, but when you put the words together and you have a visual, it just makes more sense. It makes more manifold sense. I would translate this better. Instead of saying the doctors pierce the sacred, because our body is sacred, but I see it as pierce the broken. Because if the news forecasters are prophesying that everybody's going to die of COVID, then the priests come along, which are the doctors, and they pierce the sacred. They inject. Oh, wow. I'm just amazed. When I look at this, like sometimes it just comes to me. Like as I'm reading the scriptures to you, I'm breaking it down, I get a visual, and then wait a second. Kodash is broken. Like, I just put that together. Okay, this is how I put it together. It just comes to me. All right, so the next is they have violated the law. That's correctly translated. They have done violence to the law. I translate it as they violated the law. So when the doctors pierce the broken, they violated the law. So they're not doing this in a lawful manner. So this tyrannical city, this treacherous, tyrannical city, oh my gosh, let's just review it. Ugh, this is awful. This is just awful. Oh my gosh, gotta take a breather here. Let's review it. This tyrannical city, this tyrannical city. This city is so tyrannical, they do not keep the laws of Yah, so they're wicked. Number 2, their leaders are wicked. Number 3, their newscasters are treacherous. They're wicked. Their priests, which are doctors, are violating the law of the land, so they're wicked. So it's like 4 reasons why this city is tyrannical. Unbelievable. And in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 1, it's the symbols is communicating, beating you up, pushing you around. This is the word for tyrannical. This is the hand gesture, tyrannical, slapping you in the face. So that's what the city is. The city is hurting people. And so if you are in a city right now that is pushing COVID vaccination, forced vaccination, they're breaking the law. They're breaking the law of the land, probably the law of Yah too. This is the law of humanity. Like, they are breaking the law. Okay, this is not how it's supposed to go. And Yah is going to come down and deal with you. And I'm going to go on that. But if you are in this city that this scripture is speaking about, I got a warning for you. And you need to share this video. I'm going to continue to reveal the New World Order plandemic to you right now. But if you do not think that this is important to share with your people, they're not going to get this information because YouTube blocks me. Okay, I've already said the word COVID a few times. I don't even know if this video will be here. Quite frankly, you should probably download it. Okay, you should probably download it and save it and share it, because I could get deleted and the truth's going to come out. And let's just continue. Make sure you get my book, Primitive Sign Language, for you to get better understanding of the symbols. Those of you who are in my Manakati chat room, I reviewed the words already, but I didn't review into detail. But if you know the symbols, because you read the book, look into the symbols as I'm bringing it out and confirm. If you have any questions, those of you are in my Manakati chat room on Telegram, feel free. Ask the questions here in the chat room right now, and we can talk it through. But I feel like I explained it. And if you need more expounding, let me know. I'm here. So let's just go. Let's go. Oh my goodness. Let's go to verse 5. Okay, let's go to verse 5. Zephaniah 3, verse 5. Okay, Zephaniah 3, verse 5 was correct. I feel like it was decently translated, so I'm not going to break down any words to save time. There's no need to. The King James says, the just Yahweh is in the midst thereof. He will do no iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. I'm going to give an interpretation. First, my translation. Yahweh is righteous in the midst of her. He will do no unrighteousness. Pretty much saying the same thing. Morning to morning. It literally does say morning to morning. They said every morning, which is not incorrect, but the literal does say morning to morning. So I'm going to say morning to morning, his judgment, he reveals to light. never lacks. So basically, during this tyrannical city happening and the people getting hurt, Yah is revealing the wickedness of the wicked leaders every morning. You know it. You know it if you go to Instagram and you follow the conspiracy theories. It's not conspiracy, it's facts. The people who push out the truth information, they are showing you evidence upon evidence. But you who are hypnotized, because the newscasters, they're casting spells. That's why it's called newscasters. They're casting spells and they're hypnotizing you with their magic on the screen. Okay, and you believe them because this is what you're told to believe them. But they lie. They lie all the time. And but the truth is being going out. It goes out on YouTube, and then the newscasters will tell you, "Oh, we're lying to you. We're not putting out the truth." And so on Instagram, people like Freedom Faction, he was deleted on Instagram. You need to follow him. You have to follow him on Telegram, and other people on Instagram who are putting out quality information. They are being deleted on Facebook, Instagram, and they have reduced the amount of news that they're putting out. And you got to support them. You know, I'm just a little free plug for Freedom Faction. You should check out his news and you should support his efforts. It takes time to find the truth and to post it. So, check him out on Telegram. Let him know I thought he sent you, and support his efforts, because he's really trying to continually put out the news. But they're holding him back. But it's not going to happen if we support his efforts. Share my video. Support people trying to bring out the truth. Don't let them be the ones to push out my information, because they're not going to.
Grant Shapps about this. Good morning, Grant Shapps.
Morning.
Morning. Would you please explain the evidence that you've looked at to make this decision?
Yeah, we know that double vaccinated or fully vaccinated people are much more likely to get and also carry the coronavirus. So there comes a point where there's a balance to be made by allowing people to see perhaps friends and family, or even go on holidays to countries which are in the amber category, which are the vast majority of countries in the world. And that's where we've got to, based on the advice of Chief Medical Officer and others.
So it was kind of confusing towards the end, but he was saying the people who are double vaccinated or vaccinated for COVID, they're the ones who have COVID, and they're the ones who are getting infected with COVID virus. So they speak with a double tongue. Sometimes they tell the truth to these newscasters, okay, but then they go back and they clean up what they said, okay. So let's check out another video. Okay. In this video, you can see the tyrannical city in effect. In this video, you can see a man on a roof in India, and they're force vaccinating him, and he doesn't want to get vaccinated, and they're being tyrannical. Okay, this is going on worldwide. Their health officials wearing gloves. They're not even doctors. The scripture translated as priests, but it could just be enforcers of health. The officials of health are the Khan, which is what it is. So let's just go to the next video. So check this out. This newscaster, let me pause this. I'm going to pause it. This newscaster is speaking concerning the next crisis. So you see, they are forecasting the news, okay? They're saying the next crisis, and look at the date. It says July 8th, 2020. He's saying the next crisis. So, wow, the next crisis. So the COVID thing. Let's listen to it.
It will be faster. It will be more significant, and we need to actually start preparing for that now. When we do see this next crisis,
so they want to expedite the New World Order tyrannical government as soon as possible. So he's letting you know, he's doing his predictions. See, they're predicting the future because they are controlling, not necessarily the future, but they already have their liquid poisons lined up, And so when the epidemic happens, it's a
It
plandemic.
will be faster than what we've seen with COVID. The exponential growth rate will be steeper. The impact will be greater. And as a result, the economic and social implications will be even more significant.
So basically, he's saying that the economy is going to fail and it's going to be quicker with the next epidemic. So we don't know what they got going. Like, they've already predicted that there's going to be something worse than COVID, and it's going to kill the economy, apparently. Apparently, it's going to kill the economy. You know, they did a practice one, a worldwide practice one. They did a worldwide practice run with this COVID that they're doing, and it worked, so they kept going. And so they see that they can get the people to do what they want with fear. That's what the Nazis used. So let's look at this other news here.
Same magnification under the microscope.
Okay, so this doctor is a doctor, and she's banned. This video is banned on Instagram, and I think even YouTube. That's why I'm concerned that my video might be banned. So if you can download my video. You got my permission. Download it. You know, post it. Feel free. If it gets deleted, you should download it in advance. Post it. But this doctor is showing you the blood of people who have COVID vaccination.
What you're seeing side by side on the right-hand side of your screen is the blood of a blood smear.
Okay, the next scripture that I wanted to review is Zephaniah 3 and 6. This is the reason why I need you to share this information. This has not happened yet. What I'm about to tell you has not happened. In Zephaniah 3 verse 6, let's just read what the King James says. I have cut off the nations. My translation is the same. I have cut off the nations. King James said, their towers are desolate. I say, their corners are in ruins. But the word corner in the hand sign, it looks like it's a block. So their blocks are ruined. So this is the hand sign of Panah. Okay? Okay? So it's like, let me see, get a better view. So you see the word corners because right there's a corner. But in the hand sign, in the gesture, it looks like it's a containment, like a block. Okay, so I would see that as a block. And let's continue so you can understand. Their blocks are in ruin. We'll keep it as corners. Their streets are wasted without any passing. That's my translation. The King James says, I made their streets waste that none pass by. Pretty similar. We don't need to break down. But the only one that I would different is the word. They said that it's towers. Pana'ah does not mean towers. Okay, not at all, not by far. Let's look at that. The word panah, when you go to Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 6. Let's go there now. The King James translation says their towers are desolate, but in the original language, panah actually means corner. And so I think you should keep that as the translation because it actually makes more sense. I don't believe the word is tower. Nowhere when you go into the original language do you see that this word means tower. Let me click on it. Okay. It doesn't say tower anywhere. And it doesn't look like, let's see. The word panah hasn't been translated as tower. I haven't seen it translated as tower in any verse. When I do a quick search here, and the symbols do not indicate it. So let's just move on. Because next, their cities are destroyed so that there is no man. That's what the King James says. I said their cities are destroyed without any person. It's pretty much saying the same thing. And then the King James says that there is none inhabitant. I say no inhabitants. So in Zephaniah 3, verse 6, you see many instances for us to see that the nations will be cut off, their corners are in ruins, and their streets are wasted. So if the corners are in ruins, I think it's block. The blocks are ruined, okay? And if the streets are wasted, nobody can pass by, no cars will come through. So what I want to tell people is what's coming according to Zephaniah 3 and 6, that hasn't happened, okay, is that the nations are going to be cut off. The nations who are tyrannical, okay, and their streets are going to be in ruins, and there's going to be nobody in their cities. You need to get out of the city. This is the takeaway from this video. You have to get out of the city. And if you have this information in advance, you need to make your plans and make your moves. I don't know how long you have. I don't think you have that long. I'm not saying to leave tomorrow, but you need to make your plans of escape. You should already have been getting information from other brothers and sisters telling you, to separate. Okay. How do we know that it's talking about our times? Well, this is what I'm going to reveal. So let's go to Zephaniah 3 and 7. Let's go to Zephaniah 3 and 7. Zephaniah 3 and 7 was properly translated. I'm just going to read it. King James, I said, surely thou wilt fear me, thou wilt receive instructions, so their dwelling should not be cut off. However, I punished them, but they arose and corrupted all their doings. My translation of Zephaniah 3 and 7. I said, surely you will fear me. You will take my correction, and her dwelling should not be cut off. All that I charged her, but they arose early and corrupted all their shameful deeds. It's pretty similar. There's really nothing really to debate about. It's pretty similar, so it's very clear. Let's move on. But this is a warning from Yah to the wicked. Zephaniah 3 and 8. Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. This is what King James says. I said, therefore wait for me, declares Yahweh. See, the word declare is a stronger word than saith. Saith is just, he said. But declares, Yah is declaring to wait for him. But who is he speaking to? Let's see. Let's go into my translation. Wait for the day I rise for prayer. For my judgment is to gather the nations, to assemble the kingdoms, to pour on them my indignation, all my fierce anger. For my fire of my jealousy, she shall devour all the earth. Okay, so Yah's anger concerning what the wicked New World Order people are doing is going to devour the earth. Okay, so Yah is going to go and he is going to take care of them. So do not think that Yah is not going to deal with them, because in Zephaniah 3 and 8, he says he will. Now, this goes into Zephaniah 3, 9 to 10. When is all this supposed to happen? Well, this goes into Zephaniah 3, 9 to 10, and this is the scripture concerning Aithari, the daughter that I spore, the one who was supposed to bring the language called Manakati. And this is the scripture that I'm always quoting. Now, let's look at it. Let's look at it. For then will I return to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him in one consent. This is what the King James says, and it's not so much off. I said, for then will I return to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him shoulder to shoulder. So that verse 9, is translated correct. So all this is going to happen. This New World Order plandemic is going to happen when the language is returned to the people. My name is Aithari, and I have the language that Yah is speaking about concerning the pure language. This language is from hand gestures. So when you look at the symbols, you can decode them as you've been seeing in this video, and check out my other videos. I've made many videos. My recent videos, I explained the Zarai. You can see that video here. I explained how to sign Zarai and how to read the symbols, how the symbols work in the Manakati language. And you could see in that video that I have the pure language. I have the pure language, and I'm sharing it with you. And this is volume 1 of the book. Volume 2 will review each and every word in the Bible that it has their meaning in sign language. And that's what I'm working on. That's what I need your support, because I'm still writing that book. I'm putting out information for the volume 2 book right now. I'm putting it out, but I need to have it all organized in the book. Verse 10, my translation. From beyond the river of Cush, I thought, the daughter diaspora shall bring Manakati. I've explained in many videos, I broke down the meaning of this scripture, but I broke it down in the video called I Am My Thoughty. I think I should be able to put it up here. I Am My Thoughty. This video is all about these two verses. But these two verses is important for right now, because the tyrannical city, there has been dictatorships many times in our life, but the tyrannical city, how are we going to know that this is talking about right now? Because Yah brings the set apart language. When I released this book, COVID-19 started to bring lockdowns, and I was actually happy because I was able to write my book. I'm not happy that this stuff is happening. I'm not happy that people are dying. I was happy that I actually had time to write my book, because the lockdowns forced businesses to be closed, and it brought down my business a little bit because, I sew clothes, and I was able to close my store, and I focused, 3 months straight. Every morning I'm waking up early, going to bed late, writing this book. It's a 400-page book, and during the plandemic, I was writing it. And so I noticed that the cities were not inhabited during this time. When the lockdowns were happening, and let's look at some pictures. I'll put pictures here as I talk. City after city, nobody was there. But it wasn't destruction according to the scriptures. So when the language first started coming to me, before it started to be really aggressive, the cities were being uninhabited, but in a quiet way. You could start to see the future happening, from Australia to Europe to America, everywhere around the world, Africa, the Middle East, everywhere at the same time. Nobody was moving. What was going on? Well, the language was being returned. Zephaniah 3 was happening, okay? It's happening now. Oh my gosh, check out this video of Australia. Let's look at it together. It's happening right now. So I have been doing video after video to show you I Am My Thoughty of Zephaniah 3, 9 to 10. This is in the timeline, okay? In Zephaniah 3 and 9, it says, "For then I will return to the people a pure language." For you to know when all this is going to happen, it's when the pure language, Manakati, is being returned. And I am the woman who is known as Aithari. I prove it to you. I'm not telling you to believe me. I'm not asking you to believe me that I'm Aithari, the woman in Zephaniah 3 and 10. I've already proven it to you, with videos after videos, and I continually will prove it to you. You need to check out my videos to see if I'm telling the truth, because it puts us in the timeline of Zephaniah 3, 9 to 10. Yah doesn't do anything until he reveals his truth to his servants, but if you have a closed ear and you won't even look at the evidence, you're not going to get the information, and you will not get the warning, and it is what it is. What I want to say is that Zephaniah chapter 1 speaks concerning the fall of Jerusalem. It's a timeline. The whole book of Zephaniah is a timeline. Number 1 is chapter 1, the fall of Jerusalem and the punishment and the death. Basically, Deuteronomy 28 gets on the Israelites. Zephaniah chapter 2, when you read it, it speaks Zephaniah chapter 2 speaks specifically for the Israelites to gather together. So this is a timeline. Before all of this has happened with the New World Order, we are supposed to be gathering together. This is the time. So the tyrannical city, things are going on right now. And for some people, it's too late to gather together. If you're stuck in Australia and you can't get out, it's probably too late. Unless you can find a way to gather together with your people in Australia, that's the only way you need to get away from the cities, because Yah is going to come down with the anger of his jealousy on top of the cities who are tyrannical. You can't be with them. The wicked are about to be punished. You can't be with them. So Yah, before this whole thing started happening, he said to the Israelites to gather together. But for the most part, Israelites are not really gathering together. Maybe now they're gathering together. We need to gather together. Okay, this video is a call to wake up you to the fact that the plandemic is in the scriptures, and for you to gather together. Okay, Zephaniah is showing you. Okay, and so I'm going to go to Zephaniah chapter 2. Zephaniah chapter 2, 1-3. Gather yourselves together, ye. Gather together, O nations not desired. This is a popular scripture that many Israelites quote all the time. We are supposed to gather together. I'm not saying go to church. I'm saying physically gather together. Get out of the cities. Okay, because I just explained to you how Zephaniah 3 and 6, the nations, their cities are going to be broken up. No one's going to be there. No car to drive around. You're not going to be able to go to Starbucks. None of that. Okay. And it says, verse 2, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass after the chaff, before the fierce anger of Yah will come upon you. So before Yah's anger comes upon the nations for doing this new order to take over, Yah said to gather together. You see it's happening. The signs are there. You haven't been able to connect it with scriptures because I am bringing it out now. The symbols are able to tell us what's happening. Before Yah brings out his wrath to the people, he's bringing out this video to you. Okay, and you need to wake up to it and share it with people. Okay, because it's not going to be shared by YouTube. People aren't going to find my videos like that unless they follow my Instagram or my website or download my app. You're not going to find me. I'm also on Telegram. I try to be available, but the word isn't coming out unless you share it. Okay, so verse chapter 3, seek ye Yahweh, all ye meek of the earth, all the meek. So it's not even speaking concerning just Israelites. People who are righteous, who fear Yah, gather together and seek Yah, which wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be that you may be here in the days of Yahweh's anger. So you don't know if Yah is going to save you. And so chapter 2 talks about the Philistines being going to be punished. Moab and Ammon going to be punished. Ethiopia and Assyria is going to be punished. And then you go into chapter 3, which I've already explained, the tyrannical city is going to be punished. Okay, so punishment's coming. But then afterwards, let's go into Zephaniah 3 verse 11. In that day, they shall not be ashamed for all their doings wherein they have transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride. And thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh. Now, the afflicted and poor people could be from people from other nations. There might be people among us who fear Yah and are not Israelites. According to Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 12, verse 13, the remnant of Israel shall do no sin, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in them. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. Why does it say none shall make them afraid? Because in Zephaniah 3, 1 all the way to verse 8, all the way to verse 6, Zephaniah 1 to verse 6, you'll see how the tyrannical city, people are afraid. With this whole promise of martial law and new world order, it's a little scary. I can't lie. It's a little scary, but I don't fear nobody but Yah. We need to hear the scriptures. It says gather together. It says, to me, it's saying to get out of the city, because if the city that is tyrannical is going to be punished, it doesn't have to say get out. If it says it's going to be destroyed, why would I be there? It's time to get out of the city. It's past time. You shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. I've already sold my house. My house is sold. Okay, I'm about ready to go. This place is not my house. My house was beautiful. This is an ugly apartment, and I'm temporarily here. I'm out of here, okay? So I'm not going to be here. I don't know. You shouldn't be here either. My days in this place is numbered. I'm out of here, okay? So I'm ready to go. My stuff is pretty much packed, okay? You see my living room? Ain't fancy because there's only one used chair that I got from a thrift shop, because I'm not going to take my stuff out of storage. I'm packing up. I'm ready to go. Are you ready? This video is to wake you up. And when you read Zephaniah 3, verse 14 and down, it speaks concerning what will happen to the Israelites. Sing, O daughter Zion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter Jerusalem. Yahweh had taken away thy judgments. He hath cast out thine enemy. So this is a prophecy. Continue to read on your own. Zephaniah, the whole book is a timeline.